preparing to live stream. And we are getting all set up here. Yay. I believe we are live and making sure that the video is connected. Yay, we're live. Okay, welcome everybody to Book Talk Tuesday. I am Danielle Ramirez, owner of Quiet Storm Services. Quiet Storm is a hybrid publisher that focuses on creative nonfiction like memoirs, anthologies, all that good stuff. And we really just focus on empowered writing and impacting community. So today we are extra thrilled to have April Pameticky with us. Welcome, April.
Hi.
I'm so glad you're here. We had to kind of
You.
run through some hoops and loops to get to this day, but it's
Yes.
here.
Yes. It's exciting to finally be here. It's great.
Yes. Okay. So, for our folks out there, whether you're watching live with us right now, welcome. Thank you for being here with us. If you're watching the recording, also welcome. And I'm going to share a little bit about April. April is a mother, wife, teacher, and poet. She shares time between her high school English classroom and the creative community in Kansas, which is where we met, by the way.
Yeah,
Her
yes.
practice is rooted in image and sound, and she would argue that the exquisite ordinary is poetry, and I would not argue with her on that. She wants to explore the moment to capture the resonance of independent and discrete sections of time. In 2016, April launched the Wichita Broadside Project and currently serves as editor of Voices of Kansas, an online journal for youth sponsored by the Kansas Association for Teachers of English. She is also the author of several chapter books in the book Waterbound from 2019, and it's available from Spartan Press. Oh, this is so exciting. April, tell us about you and life and your projects and where does this creativity come from?
Well, first of all, I am so excited because Spartan Press and I just negotiated, and they will be my next book will come from Spartan Press, and we have not yet set a publication date, but I am very excited because all of the strings got pulled and all of the copyright permissions I needed for artwork QR codes, which I'll explain here in just a few minutes,
Mm,
all of that has happened. So I'm really excited. So, with concern for how words land in the body, will
mm,
actually finally come to fruition, which is the project that I've been working on since I finished Waterbound.
mm.
It's my post-pandemic project.
Okay, post-pandemic project. Well, congratulations. That's a big deal.
Yeah, I'm so
So,
excited. And it literally just happened in the last couple of days. And so
oh,
I have been trying to find the right home and trying to figure out a publisher that will work with me with some of the copyright restraints, which I'll talk about, which I can talk about more. But anyway, I'm stoked. I'm excited that I can finally be like, hey, and there'll be another book.
yes, and so I'm definitely curious to hear about the copyright restraints and finding the right publisher and finding the right fit is always really important, not just for well, for authors and for any artist, but especially when it has to do with your, your creative work and the stuff that you're putting your heart and spirit into. What was the name of the upcoming book, or have you guys? What I think you
Oh,
said it.
it's with concern for how words land in the body,
Oh my
which
goodness.
I took from local dancer Mina Estrada, who was coaching her dancers with choreography, talking about how we have to use our bodies, and I say we, I am not a dancer, but how they have to use their bodies to express these really complex ideas. And so we have to
Mm,
think about how words land. And man, I got stuck on that idea that the words we say matter, how we talk to each other matters, that we carry the words that people say to us, we carry those things around. And sometimes that's a really bad thing. right?
Mm.
Those things that people have said to us, we don't want to carry with us forever, and yet we do. And so this is a part. It's a I use memoir, but it's not a memoir. And I have been calling it a fake history of my imaginary self. Um,
That,
because I mean, in poetry, we get to take poetic license, and I do a lot. But yeah, I mean, that's the nugget of that project. And I will also say that I was not creative during pandemic. People people were super creative, and I hated them. I could not do that. And I think part of it is I was a teacher and am a teacher, but I was teaching during pandemic. And it really did feel like we were entering, at least a little bit, it felt like we were entering the apocalypse potentially. That sounds like exaggeration, but there was a brief time where I was like, I didn't even know if I was going to get paid for the work we were trying to do online. We didn't know how the state was going to handle things like that. And I also feel like it took me longer to recover from like other people were getting back into the work in 2021, and I was really struggling. So by 2022, which is when I started to write this project, I was really trying to heal my own creativity. I was really trying to kind of return to my own practice and incorporate some things I had learned about myself. And so this has been a long time in the making. So I'm very excited about it finally happening.
yeah, that's no, that's amazing. I appreciate your honesty about the process and the journey too. And it kind of just goes to show that each one of our paths are different, and that we're full, whole human beings who are truly impacted by the world around us. And so there's no one right way forward. And I feel like especially with artists and creative people, like, if there's an expectation to be doing that all the time, it's unrealistic. um to be able to do that. Now, of course, it's like it can be a beautiful outlet, and it can be a beautiful way to heal. But just realizing and knowing that, yeah, like there's very real competing pressures in life, and maybe it's not going to be 100% all the time, but the fact that you worked through that, and then you tapped back into the creativity when it was right for you, maybe in some sort of divine timing, or when it made sense, and now here we are, and your work is going to be impacting other people too. Like, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I love how you said that. Um, I think that as creatives, there's this catch-22 between you're producing work, like you're doing work. There's a production in it. I was listening to an interview recently. There's a Salina artist in residence who works in dust, and he likes the ephemeral nature of it. And I was like, no. Like immediately I was like, no, we work in product, like we're creating something. But there is that element of creativity. So to try to put the production, like the actual work together with the creativity, um, that can be hard. And I felt a lot of guilt, like, oh, I should be working, and all these other people are working, and they're getting so much done, and I can't figure out how to say what I need to say.
Mhm.
I just really struggled. And so part of it was just forgiving myself. Like, it's okay. Like, that's fine. You didn't need to do that. You didn't need
Mhm.
to stress. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, and my mind is going so many different directions. So that, speaking of like struggling for what to say, like, because two things that are sticking out to me right now is what you're saying, like that word forgiveness, um, and how words, like you mentioned that they stay in the body, like that concept of forgiveness, and how powerful words are. And like you said, I mean, it can be a great thing, and it can also be something that is hindering for us if there's certain things that people have said to us that are getting stuck and not, let go of or released in a certain way. So I am just very curious. I can't wait to dig into, with concern with how words land in the body. Yeah.
Yeah.
And something else you said too that I just want to touch on a little bit. I love the mixing of genres in ways that doesn't make sense to all of the structures. And I love English and I love literature and I love it all. But I also love when, like you said, how did you say that? You said that it was like an imagining of your poetic self. So you're not quite calling it a specifically a memoir, but it's a
Right.
blending, right? And I love
Yes.
that. I love the blending. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I think I had to do some untraining. When you study writing in school, you spend a lot of time trying to categorize yourself, right? What is this? Is this genre fiction? Did you write a horror story? Is this a song lyric? Did you write a poem that's free verse? Like we spend a lot of time being like, this is this and is not that.
Mm,
And I think that's important as an exploration to figure out what tools work for you and what tools don't. But I also get really frustrated with that. Like, well, this is one thing, so it can't possibly be this other thing. We don't live in a vacuum. We don't live in a bubble. And part of the genre bending, I don't know if I'm genre bending or not, but part of what I'm doing in this particular work is giving myself permission to write in response to the world around me. So there are song links, there are links to artwork that I'm moved by. And so the idea then is people can read, acknowledging that they're reading also in the world, and they can use the links to go explore the music or listen to the YouTube. I did with David Bowie. When David Bowie passed, there was a circulation of an astronaut singing Major Tom from space. So like there's a link to that particular video because I can't talk about David Bowie and that loss and not capture that moment. So yeah, we spend a lot of times being like, well, this is this category. And I really think that we don't live that way, right? Our intake is from the world around us all the time. And so our output is also of the world all the time. And so I wanted to create something that kind of blended that experience a little bit. Um, yeah, and again, that was part of the reason I struggled to find the right home for it, which is ironic because I've worked with Spartan before and they're really great about certain things. But it took me a while to approach Jason about it, Jason Reberg, who's the publisher, because I needed to nail some things down with how I really wanted it to be presented. Um, and he for a little while wasn't taking on new projects. And so it just timing was everything for him to be like, no, I want this project. And I was like, fantastic. Let's do this.
mm,
Yeah, and that's where the copyright thing comes in too. When you're linking to other people's intellectual property, um, even though you're not claiming ownership and you're giving appropriate citation, it's still important to kind of get permission to do that out
absolutely.
of respect for the artists. And in particular, I wanted to work closely with Wichita Art Museum because they actually don't own a lot of the direct copyright of the things that are hanging. Some things are in the public domain out of sheer age, but quite a few of the artists, especially some of the work that I wrote in response to, those artists are still living and still own their copyright. And
Yeah.
so even though I'm linking to the Wichita Art Museum's online catalog, I needed specific permission. I needed to make sure that they were in support of the project, and yeah, and they are. And so we figured out what we can do, and so that makes it really kind of a cool experiment in genre bending. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, genre bending, and that's I'd love to hear the due diligence, and I feel like it is important to be getting permission from those artists and those original creators when it's possible, of course, and if it's not in the public domain, because it's a way of honoring their work in a sense, and it adds time and it adds energy, and I feel like that's an important piece sometimes of like the behind the scenes of what people may not see when it comes to producing and not even just a book, but like something as interactive as what you're doing, where it's not just the text, which I don't want to say just the text, but
Right.
you're adding in these other layers, and it's a really kind of a dynamic experience, not just for the readers and for the people who are, indulging with it, but the process, it looks different, it sounds
Yes.
like.
Yes. Well, and you're describing it as an experience. That is exactly what I was trying to do. I think something, um, because I've worked with, so part of what I have done as my creative practice is I'm connected to the Mid-America Arts Alliance, and I work specifically to help facilitate Artist Inc.
Mm.
And it is a wonderful 8-week program that helps artists kind of nail down their own personal goals and what elements of the entrepreneurial mind they kind of want to develop for themselves. So it's very practical information and knowledge. But for me, it's been about community because I keep meeting and connecting to these really creative people. So to make a long story short, one mindset for me that has really changed from being, either a spoken word poet or someone that really just concentrated on the page. Like I literally, my poetry exists on paper, right? It's on the page. I've really started thinking about poetry as an experience, right? And how are different ways in which people can experience work, whether it's in a museum setting where they read it, or they hear it, or they see it. We have so many opportunities for visual work now. And again, I had to get out of that brain of this is poetry, this is free verse, it exists on the page. You don't want to over emote because you're misleading your listeners. These are all constraints that I had to start breaking and being like, nope, that's
Yeah.
not how I want to create work.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad you did. And that's it can be a beautiful, liberating experience to go beyond those constraints. And I can resonate with what you're saying because, and I saw a quote the other day, and I'm going to butcher it, I'm terrible with quotes, but the essence of the quote was that, you know, whether it was like labels or barriers or borders or whatever it is, like they're there to help us, not hinder us. So once they become a hindrance, that's when something needs to change. And I am a person who I love for things to feel organized. Like those categorizations can be really helpful if I'm struggling to
Yeah.
wrap my brain around something. And then you flip that coin. On the other hand, it's like, wait a second, don't put limits on. Whether it's art or writing or what relationships can be like our experience with the outside world, that moment that it becomes a confinement is when something needs to change. That's like a clue for me of like, okay, it's time to go beyond. And that process, like it sounds, oh yeah, I'm just going to break some barriers, like, but it can be hard work.
No, yeah. Well, what if you make something and it's not of value? What if you make something and no one wants to read it or see
Yeah,
it? Or
yeah,
I went through a year of submissions and got zero publications.
yeah,
And part of it was coming out of this creative process and submitting the work, some of these poems in this new collection that's coming up, and just getting rejected and being like, oh, what do I do? Like, what do I do with this work that I feel is is good and important and is uh is ready, and the world is telling me it's not quite ready yet. So there's this, it can be hard to step out of the black lines of the coloring book if people tell you, hey, your work isn't of use. I mean, that's something as creative people you have to work through over and over and over again.
You really do. And if there is such a thing as balance, which, true, like 100% equilibrium all the time seems a little bit fantastical, but it's like a great goal of how are we balancing like the work that is going to be something that not only other people will enjoy and appreciate and gain from, and also continue to sustain our energy and our work. Because
Yeah.
like, yeah, we are people, we have to eat, we have bills to pay. So it's great when we can produce something that is going to be of benefit to not just the people who are consuming or reading or enjoying it, but ourselves. And then, with the other person, like, ooh, how much risk am I willing to take? Like, how many artists you see, their work was not appreciated.
Oh yeah.
But, I mean, and it's
Yeah, no,
just,
that's risk is part of it though, right? Like when you're well, I can't speak for every writer.
yeah,
Um, Thomas Pynchon wrote a book called Slow Learner about his own slow process to becoming the writer that he was. But I just always love the premise that I am a slow learner. Like it has taken me a long time. If I were to measure my writing journey by other people's trajectory, like that I am a slow learner and that feels risky. Like, why is it taking so long? And am I
yeah,
doing the right thing? And oh my gosh, what if nobody likes what I'm doing?
yeah.
Well, that's part of it.
Yeah, that is part of it. That is absolutely 100% part of the process. And a beautiful reminder to me today. So thank you, April, because I am a very much a process person. And I love the end product. Don't get me wrong, I do, but I'm very much like into processes. And so I think I needed that reminder today of just like, all of these different experiences and whether it's a doubt or excitement or whatever's coming along with it, right? Like, oh, wait a second, am I willing to risk this? And if I'm not, why? And just kind of all of the things that go with it, is really part of the fun, and maybe not always fun, but
Right.
part of it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's part of it.
part of it. So yeah, thank you so much. So we're getting close to time, so I'm going to ask you, I mean, you've shared so much. Just authenticity. I just feel like you've shared a lot of things that a lot of people would maybe be, I don't know, it's a little risky to even talk about some of these deeper truths. So I appreciate your transparency and honesty, and also your willingness to share your art with the world, and that whether others may value it or not, and sometimes maybe they do, and sometimes maybe they're not ready for it. Like you said, I want to thank you for being you and doing what you're doing. So
Oh, thank you. I feel the same way about what you're doing. I feel
thanks.
like you're highlighting my community and the writers that I love and the experiences that they're having. And there aren't enough platforms for people to speak their truths, and you're providing that.
Appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's my pleasure and honor. Whenever I get done with one of these conversations, like, and so I'll be transparent for a moment. I was kind of sleepy this morning, but I had been looking forward to this. Well, I look forward to all the conversations, but you and I had met at the Kansas Authors Club at retreat, and so we kind of briefly connected. I got to come to one of your workshops, and I was like, "Oh, this is a person I would love to have in my circle and know
Yes,
about, and just see what they're
yes.
doing." So I've been excited for ages, ever since we met, to be able to dig in. But I woke up a little bit tired today. And inevitably, after these conversations that I get to have with people, I am energized and I am like, re-engaged with the work. So I got to thank you too.
Yeah, I
And
think I'll go
yeah,
right, actually.
yeah, yeah. All right, cool. Well, any last words for anybody who's watching? Any advice? Just anything to kind of end on?
Um, I I want to reassure anyone engaging in any creative practice that imposter syndrome, that misgivings, that feelings of inadequacy, those are really shared. I talk to a lot of artists and a lot of writers, and almost all of them acknowledge this experience as, being kind of frightening, and you're being vulnerable, and you're not alone. Like, we're all experiencing that, and your job is just to keep doing the thing, keep making, keep creating, keep trying, keep pushing, because the world really needs us, and it really needs us right now. Being a creator is a political act, and
Mhm.
we've got to continue to create in the world that we're living in. It's very important.
Yes. Yes, it is. I am so glad you said that. Whew, he's got shivers. So, being a creator is a political act, and I am going to share some links in the comment section for anybody to connect back to April. And if there's April, if there's anything you want people to know, any links or websites, or whether it's for Spartan Press or you mentioned some really cool groups, the Artist Inc. and others. I would love to just put a spotlight on any of them
Okay.
after this so that if people
Yes.
are interested in learning more, they can.
Okay.
Um, and then if anybody who's watching has questions, just jump in the comment section and I'll somehow get rerouted to April and we'll see what we can do. So, okay,
Right.
April, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody else out there. Have a beautiful rest of your Tuesday. Go create. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.